Commissioners, we'll go ahead and call this meeting
This
to order.
conference will now be recorded.
Let the record reflect that this meeting has been duly called in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. It is registered as a regular meeting. And with that being said, we have no invocation designation. So we will go past that into public comments. And Madam Clerk, have you had anybody registered?
I have not.
Okay. With that being said, we will go then to our minutes. Do you have any minutes you wish for us to take action on?
No, sir. Maybe
Okay.
next time.
All right. There does not appear to be any resolutions or proclamations for the commissioners to consider, and that puts us into the approval, informational, and consideration portion of our agenda. With that being said, Commissioner Marshall brings the items to you today. And item 8, Commissioner?
Budget amendment line item transfers, didn't have any.
No, sir.
That'll take us to item B, Commissioner Blacksher.
I'll make a motion that we create a separate fund for the American Rescue Act money.
Second.
There is a motion with a second. Comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of item B, the creation of a separate fund for the ARAM account, American Rescue Act money, say aye. And it is unanimous. That takes us to item C, and Commissioner Blacksher also brings that to the court.
I'll make a motion that we set the maximum total amount allocated for the Tyler County Hospital out of the first round of American Rescue Act funds and set a time for review.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Comments? Questions? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Do we know?
We need
Yeah,
to set that.
that's what I was gonna say. Do we have an idea what it's gonna be? Or what we got to work with or anything?
Williams, is it gonna be the actual amount that the total of all those?
Yes, I
Okay.
think that it'll be pretty close to the projected amount that appeared in the letter that I wrote the judge.
And I have,
And that's about 600,000.
It's about 600,000 a year to provide to registered nurses and cardiopulmonary, X-ray, and lab. Right on our look back date, which was March the 3rd up until July 31st, without the registered nurses, we spent $176,000. The registered nurses that are trained, that are available through the contract, the cost of those are expensive.
okay, so I see that on this letter, letter of request, the 674,000 for calendar year of 2022.
Yes.
Are y'all requesting 2021 to look at?
Yeah,
on
yeah.
that? Okay.
We can look back until March the 3rd of 2021.
Yes, ma'am.
So I've sent in all of those statements, but as we go forward, we're losing so many of our staff that will be looking at contract nurses for the rest of the remaining grant period.
And y'all's budget year starts next.
Our budget years, starts July 1st.
So the allocation request for 2021 calendar year was expressed in your letter to us as $383,785.
Correct,
So-
without registered nurses on contract.
So Commissioners, do you want to go ahead and acknowledge that amount? And then also to Commissioner Blacksher's reference to the 2022 calendar, just for the record and for minute purposes, do you want to just include both of those figures in for this vote purpose?
Yes.
Okay,
sir, that's right.
so I think we're all on the same board. Did we cover everything?
We need to set a time for review. How about February? Would that be about 6 months into this, just to go back and look at numbers again? Is that okay?
Yeah,
with you, sir?
that would provide you information, that would be 1 year from the look back date, which is March the 3rd. So you would have that information prior to going forward.
We look back at it as a review time for the February meeting, Commissioner Court.
So that'll be February 2022. Correct. And the allocation of funds that have already been spoken.
Can you repeat it, Judge?
Sure.
3,
For 2021 calendar year, $383,785. For calendar year 2022, $674,357.
674,
$674,357.
357. Got it.
Kind of like a 357 Magnum. Okay, with that being said, and also the time frame of review would be February of 2022. Anything else or comments or questions pertaining to this action item? Hearing none, all in favor, aye? Any opposed? And it is unanimous. That takes us to item D, Commissioner Marshall.
Maximum total amount allocated to the, oh, this is the one we just done, I'm sorry. Solicitation of the RFQ for a demolition company for Tyler County's 2017 Texas CDBG GLO disaster buyout program. I don't have any kind of information, Judge. Do you?
Okay. You may recall that we've had, since Hurricane Harvey, some buyout of property that has been identified in the floodplain area that has historically flooded. And for that hauling off of what's going to be torn down and moved off of that property, so it will be converted from private to either county or probably eventually,
Corps.
yeah.
Corps.
Then we have to have a request for qualifications for individuals who meet the criteria to do the demolition portion of that. So that's the essence of the actual need that we have to follow those guidelines for those funds to be moving through the county.
Well, I'll make a motion.
Okay, there is the motion
Second.
and the second, Commissioner Blacksher. Everybody following along where we are trying to accomplish? Hearing nothing else, all in favor, aye? Any opposed? And it is unanimous. Takes us to item E, the order. Commissioner Marshall?
Order election for November 2nd, 2021. I'll put that in form of motion.
Second.
If there is a second, Donnice and I have communication regarding that and then signatory responsibilities for that. Historically, in the past, it has just flowed through the county judge's office, but this particular time, there was a request for it to be acknowledged by the court and acted upon. So that's why you see it, probably, Mike, for your benefit, for the first time, I think, since we've been on the court together, as opposed to just flowing through. I mean, it was believed to be, usual and customary procedures.
Right.
But we are satisfying that directive. And with that being said, there is the motion with second. Any additional comments or questions? Hearing none, all.
Should be an order attached.
It is.
Okay, yeah, so I need to pass that around for basic.
Do we need to read it or do we all need to sign it?
Just sign it.
Sign it.
Down
Yeah.
the bottom.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's unanimous. That'll take us to item F, and Commissioner Marshall, you have that.
Set proposed tax rate for county general fund.
And is there a?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and second. What is that proposed rate?
I don't know that we ever.
That's what we're doing here now. I would recommend at least the 0.6492, which would give us 213,500 to cover our increase of our retirement and the longevity, which would come out to 185,000. So that's what I would recommend.
That's where I'm leaning. I think I'd like to do that too, instead of getting behind next year. We get behind, I mean, we could.
That's gonna be raising it about 2%, somewhere along in there. So I think we went, no new revenue last year, did we go? Is that what we did? Okay,
I mean, actually, it'll still be dropping, the rate will be dropping some.
Right.
It was last
yeah, we can only raise 3.5% of our budget, but that's giving us a little bit over 2% raise in the thing, if I figured right, I'm not sure if I did or not, but,
Commissioner, you're saying 2%, do you mean 2 cents?
no, 2%.
2%. Okay, thank you.
Or almost a $10 million budget, is for 99.8.
Okay.
So the most we can raise is 3.5% without going to election, but we have the minimum amount of 500,000, which doesn't come into play until you get about a $14,000 budget, so really, we can go up to 500,000, but percentage-wise, it's a little bit over 2% at that rate.
Clarification I was just seeking is the no new tax is 62.92, you're proposing 64.92.
64 after that's right, yeah. Yeah, not in cents, but percent is what I was looking at.
Thank you. All right. Are there any other motions for a tax rate,
Proposed tax rate.
proposed tax rate? And I think for clarification, it's just putting it out there to let the public know what the thinking of the court is at this point. Not that we're setting it today, but it's just out there for consideration. All right. So Commissioner, with your agreement, you're going to add that to your motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
64.
And Commissioner Stirk, you're adding that with your second.
Correct.
Okay. So that is the motion that's before you, gentlemen. Are you ready for the vote? All in favor, aye. Are there any opposed?
Nay.
And let the record reflect Commissioner Blacksher is registering in opposition to the proposed tax rate. Okay, so that takes us to item E, Commissioner Marshall.
Set proposed tax rate for county farm to market flood control fund. And I'm assuming that is county special, the road and bridge.
It is. I think we're getting a clarification on the wording of what that account and that fund and that criteria is that we've actually been under. Lynette and I have had some conversation. Donnie and I have had some conversation. I think we knew that several years ago, but we didn't necessarily articulate for all record purposes what classification that we levy taxation under this specific definition. Okay, so that is the accurate, correct reflection with the Farm to Market Flood Control Fund. Okay.
We were thinking of going with the no new rate on it, correct?
Yeah, I'll second that. Lynette, is the no new rate is at 0.2337?
Yes, it is.
You make that.
Point 2337.
Yeah, I'll second that at
Okay.
0.2337.
So it is before the court of setting the proposed tax rate for the County Farm to Market Flood Control Fund at the no new tax rate of 0.2337. And it does accompany a second. Comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of setting that rate, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? And there are none. Item H is the hospital district. Commissioner Marshall.
Set proposed tax rate for Tyler County Hospital District. I don't remember the rate.
I'll second that.
2133,
2133.
That's the no new revenue.
the no new revenue.
You say it again, point
No
what?
new revenue.
Point two what?
2133.
I'll second that.
Okay. So there is the motion with the second on the floor. Comments or questions? Hearing none. All in favor, aye. And are there any opposed? And there are none. That takes us to item I, and that's setting the date and time for the public hearing on the proposed tax rates, which would include the general fund, the farm and market flood control fund. Is there a recommendation for a date and time for these hearings?
Is that what we were talking about for next Monday?
For the 7th,
Oh, the 7th,
Yeah.
September
because
7th.
they have to run this in the newspaper.
Right,
for
2 weeks
So many days.
To get it in this week's paper, I have to have it to them today.
today.
So
So September 7th.
September is a Tuesday. It's also
Tuesday,
a
yeah.
regular meeting at 11 that day. So
Tuesday, 11 o'clock on September the 7th.
Are you gonna have a hearing?
Yes, we'll have the public hearing, and then we could have it at 10 and have it recorded at 11.
That's what we said. That's also gonna be the budget hearing, correct?
Well,
Right.
we can set up, if we get it on the agenda, we can set the rate at that day too.
So
We
we
have to have
have,
our hearing, public hearing first, public comment.
so the budget hearing and the proposed, and the tax rate hearing will be at 10. And then we'll
Yes.
have the
Regular
meeting at
court.
11 to adopt it.
We'll adopt, set the rates and adopt the budget.
Is that okay?
Yes.
It was good.
So any who are wishing to speak regarding these proposed tax rates will have the opportunity to do so at 10 o'clock under the heading of the hearing, with the court having its regular court meeting at 11 o'clock following.
So do we have to have a public hearing if we're going with the no new revenue rate?
Right.
Correct.
We don't.
Just
No, no,
You do
So the public,
Okay,
so the public hearing will only have,
the
that
general
agenda will be general fund.
yes, that's correct.
So it would be appropriate, gentlemen, for the record to reflect that it is only going to affect the general fund. It will not affect the farm to market flood control fund. So the
Correct.
hearing will be only for the general fund purpose. So Donnies, it would be good to acknowledge that. And Mike and Stephen, I think since y'all both heard the motion and on the floor with the second, that would be your intention. Is
Yes,
that
that's
correct?
correct.
Okay. So if we can capture that. Okay, date and time has been proposed just to speak to the general fund hearing only. Any further questions or comments? If none, all in favor, aye. Any opposed? And the date and time is set for 10 o'clock on the 7th for public hearing on the proposed tax rate for the general fund for 2022. Are there any comments from any court members pertaining to matters of county government?
I'll just update on the courthouse. Today, the state architect is coming, and our architect, Don Levish, has full confidence we're not having a problem. I scheduled the movers to move the courtroom back into place, September 8th and 9th. I believe it's fairly early date. Once we make sure we're passed, we'll start setting dates to move the people back in.
That brings up a good point. So we will need to meet in here for the public hearing.
Yes, I would say so.
And that's available, I think, weren't you serving as a point of contact, Joe? to
Oh.
See if that was an option.
I think it was on the last meeting.
Trish said last meeting it was good. She
Yeah.
said we were good. I was sitting right.
I think they had the regular meeting on the schedule anyway, just need to make sure our 10 o'clock public hearing.
Okay.
Do we need to check with that before we get out?
Yeah, let me do that.
Okay, we'll check with Tina.
While she's doing that, is there any other comments by court members pertaining to matters of county government?
Just to let you know, I know you probably overheard us talking that we were able to purchase some more material from TxDOT on the railroad track from 255 to Rockland. It's gonna be a little tougher to get than what some of the other, because it goes way off down in the woods, but anyway, it's gonna be a big help to us. There's a lot of rock in there.
I will just share with the court that I just left a broadband study, I think I forwarded that out, that was held over at the high school. You may recall over the last probably 10 or 12 months, we've had surveys that have been being conducted throughout the county. Sadly, Tyler County lists among the, if not the bottom of the rank in the state of Texas, broadband connectivity and services. Connect Nations /Texas is the group that's compiling this. We were included in a grant that was specifically provided by Temple to conduct this particular survey and this study. And I would tell you that is a priority. You've probably heard me share with y'all before that communications, relationships, and technology from a 20,000-foot level is what it appears as if we have a focus to work off of. The towers that we have conversations about periodically, and then the hard wiring of connectivity is going to be something that you'll be hearing some more about, but they've done a very thorough job of identifying the pockets, the needs, the coverage, and we are in a woeful need situation with the number of homes that are served for internet. So, with that being said, Madam Clerk, have you found out anything?
Yes, sir, they had us down for those times already.
Okay, very
Today.
good. Thanks for that, Sheriff. All right, so we're good for that day, and if you will, just be sure that that's also part of our agenda. It shows this location. All right, anything else? If not,
Motion to adjourn.
thank you. There is a second with the motion. All in favor, aye? And we will stand adjourned.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
See ya.